everybody, and welcome to the August edition of the Thread and Paper Club. If you have subscribed, you should, when you receive your mail, your envelope in the packet, your package in the mail, you should have received all of this that you see here, plus the letter from myself. The needle is only given out to new customers, just in case this is their first time stitching and they don't have one. Otherwise, I'd really try not to send needles, because God forbid it poked through an envelope and hurt one of the postal workers. That would be terrible. So I try to make it in a way that it won't do that, but I just try to do the needles for the first time subscribers. So I just tried to go through now briefly what everything is, or quickly I should say, in case you are new to the club and you're watching this video. I don't want to make you watch the whole video if you don't need the full tutorial. I make this tutorial specifically for those who are joining this club to explore a new hobby, a new art form in cross stitch, and they don't know where to start. So this piece of paper here has just some basic information on it about your frame and the threads, differentiating the colors of the threads that you receive. So that's what this is. Then we receive the postcard, which doubles as a print, or a print that doubles as a postcard. If you're here just because you collect these and you're actually not a stitcher, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And maybe one day you'll give it a go. Otherwise, you have these two pieces of cardboard, which I cut everything and I prep everything myself by hand. So if one of these is ever a little too big to fit in your paper frame, please just give it a little trim with some scissors. These really are not important. You can use any cardboard, recycled cereal boxes if you want, if you need a different size or you do a craft like this or piece of art like this on your own. So these are meant to go in the paper frame in the back. There's no right or wrong way. And it's just to give some substance to the frame so that it's way more durable than when it's just the Aida cloth and the paper. Again, because this is a letter mail club, going letter mail, there is a weight restriction, a size restriction, a thickness restriction. You have to be pretty diligent with what you're putting in these envelopes, hence why it's a paper frame. But a paper frame obviously is a bit flimsy, so that's where the cardboard comes into play. You don't have to put them in. Like, I actually didn't have them in here, as you could see, and I've had this one on my fridge and it's totally fine, but it just again helps give it some substance. So that's what the paper what the cardboard squares are for. So that's what they're for. We all know, sorry, you do not get the snips. You just need a little pair of scissors for yourself. This is my needle. Always, please, I say this in every video, please keep track of your needles. If you're new to this and you're not used to looking for your needle, make sure you know where this is at all times. You never want to lose it. You never want to step on it. You don't want someone else to step on it. You don't want a child or a pet to eat this. That will be devastating. So please keep your eye. Don't just stab it in your couch. You will lose it. We've all done that. Get a little needle minder or put it somewhere magnetic. I always just keep it with my scissors when it's not in the material yet. Otherwise, I put it on a needle minder. And for those that don't know, I'll grab one. A needle minder, oh, this one's really strong, is just any, like, there's tons of them you can buy on Etsy and other shops. It just has a magnet on the back and then another magnet, which is now really stuck to where it was, so I can't grab it, but the same size magnet, and you just put it on your embroidery hoop while you're stitching, and the magnet keeps your needle safe. So you don't always have to wonder, where the heck is my needle? I would have taken the back off, but yeah, it's super magnetic. So again, mind your needle, please. This is the paper frame. I cut all of these by hand. So again, if you have any problems and something just needs a little trimming, I just use really sharp scissors, but I try to make these as perfect as I can so that no one has any issues. But you just simply fold along the already creased lines, and that gets you your frame. So that is this. So I do it, how do I do it? I do it this one first, then this bigger one, and then the small one. I still haven't like put glue actually on this one, and again, it's fine. What I actually do is you can either wrap the stitch in there or you can tuck it in. And I have a nice black cat fur because I have 2 black cats, so a little bonus. What I do once I finish stitching it, I do press it with my iron, my little tiny iron, and then I put this entire thing with the paper frame under like a heavy book or under a Kleenex box with something on top of it, like just some weight that is flat. You don't want to have a dent in this or tear it. So just something larger and flatter and heavier, or stack things on top of that. And it just really helps like flatten it out, and I've just put it on the fridge with some magnets like this. So this is the end project for this video and for your DIY craft. So I'm going to leave it to the side just as a reference, but this part is very important. So this is something else that will be in your envelope. This is the pattern. This is the exact same pattern, 2 different ways. This way is just by color. This way is by color and by symbol. This is the best way, in my opinion, to read a pattern. This is easier to look at. So that's why I include both of them, because I like having both, but you don't have to use both. You can even cut it and not use one if you don't like one way. Now, typically with a regular embroidery or cross stitch pattern, sorry, you'll have a legend at the bottom that will tell you what color is what symbol. And that's why this one is better, arguably better, when you're doing a larger stitch or a proper stitch. So embroidery threads, again, in case you're new, come like this. And this number here, this is DMC brand. That's the only one I personally use. This number here is the number of that color. So you can see this one is a different color. So these ones are all colors from within the main print with the flamingos. So they're all within here. So I always pull these colors to make this so that people who are doing both don't have to go out and buy new colors. So because I'm a one-woman show and I can't like attach color names, numbers to that, I just don't have the time and woman power to do that. I try to pick 4 or 5 colors per monthly stitch, mini stitch, that are easily distinguishable. So in this case, I have a really dark pink and a medium pink, and I have a really dark green and a light green. The greens are quite easy to tell apart. They are like, one is darker and one is definitely like a lighter, almost like a yellowy green. The pinks look a bit trickier on the pattern, but in person, I think they're easier to distinguish. But those are the 4 colors that we're working with here. Again, they are from the larger pattern, and I'm including little snippets. Again, I know not everyone's going to do the larger pattern, so of course I include the thread. So again, I can't number them on this pattern because you don't know which ones you're getting when you look at these bundles. So just know, for this one, do it this way. This is the darker green. This, they might not be in this order, I'm just saying there's a darker green and a lighter green, and a darker, like almost like a reddish corally pink, and then more of like a traditional pink. Again, in person, it's easier to differentiate. Those are your 4 colors for this pattern. And you can see the difference here because, again, this does look, oops, this does look a little confusing at times, like which pink is which one. And up here, that's why you'd look at this pattern and you can differentiate between this little leafy design and the sideways square or diamond, I guess you'd call that. And so then you can just look at the symbol within the color as well to help differentiate. So that's how you read that pattern. So we are going to start with our stitching. I'm going to put the colors aside for now, and I will be right back and we are going to start. So as always, I'm going to do a lot of this off screen. I'm not going to just time lapse it, only because the way I have to record is very unnatural for me to stitch in. I kind of am straddling a straddling a tripod with my phone attached to it. I try to put my mouth close to the mouthpiece, so I'm not using like a microphone or anything. And again, visually, I'm trying to do it so that I can do this, but there's a tripod right here, and I end up knocking it and my back starts to hurt. So anyways, you will see this kind of cut in and out, but I will let you know when I'm going to do that. And I will absolutely be doing a good chunk of it on camera here for anyone that is a beginner and really wants to just watch how it's done. So first off, as always, you get your little square of Aida. This is called Aida cloth. If this is your first project ever, please explore my other videos on my channel or on YouTube in general of just how to cross stitch, but hopefully this alone helps. But if you need more information, the internet is a great place to learn. So how I find the center of my stitch is I just fold this. Obviously, if I'm doing a larger stitch in a hoop, I use a ruler just to get as close to the center as I can so that I don't have to ever move it around and fix it. But for this, it's so small, I'm able to kind of fold it, and I'm gonna guess that's the center. And what I'm using is just a heat erasable Pilot Friction pen. I use them all the time to transfer my embroidery patterns, and I also use them for moments like this when I'm doing my cross stitch. So with an iron or a blow dryer right now, that will just completely go away. but it doesn't even matter because I'm going to be stitching on top of it. So you could just use a regular pen if you'd like, just make a little tiny mark. Now, if you're doing it on a pattern like say this one from June, this one was July's. July's was covered. You can tell the center of the piece is full. This one, it definitely was not, and I still haven't ironed it. Oops, it is right there in between the crab's eyes, but that is going to come away if I iron it. If you use a regular pen, it's going to be visible. So you want to just be careful, or is the center of the pattern going to have a stitch or is it not? If you're not using a heat erasable pen, if you're using a regular pen, you want to be very careful. So what I do now is I go to my pattern. I'm going to use this one because this one has a lot going on already. And all you do is you look here and we're at 30 this way and 30 this way. So you're going to look for 15 and 15, and that's roughly the center. Like around the edge here, I have one square. Down here I have one, but there I have two because I just didn't want an uneven number there, I guess. I don't know why I did that at the time. I make these like a month in advance, so I can't remember my mindset when I decided to do that. But anyway, it's basically 15 by 15 is roughly the center. So 15 and 15. So I'm going to actually move over one because of that whole two spaces over here. So this mark right here is the center of the pattern, more or less. When I start that stitch on this mark, I know that my finished piece will be centered. That is not always necessary. Again, if you're working in a hoop, like if you're stitching something like this is my example that's always closest. If this is what you're stitching, you have a big piece of fabric. Usually you are stitching with a hoop. You're not stitching like this, but again, due to the constraints of letter mail, I have to obviously not include a hoop, then like I can't mail that. So if you're working on a normal project and you ended up being off-centered, you would just then unscrew your hoop, move it to the center, screw it to the hoop, and then finish your hoop. Some people don't do what I do and permanently like attach the stitches to the hoops. But either way, you could finish it off however you're going to finish it by centering it after. When we're working on something like this, this is all we've got. So if you are working over here and then all of a sudden you run out of space, I don't know what you're going to do. You'd have to get a new piece of material and start all over again, and it would be very frustrating. So that's why I recommend finding the center of the pattern and then the center of your paper, or sorry, of your Aida cloth, and then literally just starting with that color, and that way you know it's going to fit. So we're going to start with the light green because that's where that mark is. And you start by tying, this feels like more than 3. No, it's just really thick. You start by tying a knot. And again, if this is your first time, please watch some of my other older videos of like beginner embroidery or beginner cross stitch. I have more embroidery videos outside of this, the Thread and Paper Club videos. And I went like 2 years without posting a video, and then I went like 4 years without posting anything for 2 years before that. Anyway, my channel is a bit sparse, so again, there's lots of people that can help you out on YouTube if I'm not being fully helpful for you. But this is where we're going to start. So cross stitch is literally making tiny little X's, and you're going to come up, and your knot is going to prevent you from pulling it through. You don't want to yank on it because it can really like pucker your material when you're working in a hoop. And here you want to be careful that you're not stabbing yourself. We all do it, but again, normally we're stitching in a hoop and you would hold the hoop. This, we're holding it really close to where we're working, so you just want to be really careful, or as careful as you can. I usually prick myself while doing these little ones at least once, but just go slow. There's no rush. The whole point of this is to just detach, unwind, try something new maybe, or try something not new and just add to your collection of pieces. So what I'm doing right now is I am glancing at this pattern where I can see this middle stitch is where I started, and I'm going, oops, sorry, I keep going off centered, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up 1 to just do this one section here. So the one I started on was 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm always so much slower when I first start it. I'm curious if you guys are the same. Like when I'm also because I'm stitching in this awkward position, I'm a little slower doing this. But then once I get going, like, I don't know, it's like a car warming up. Like I just have to get into the groove for like a couple minutes, and then it's like I'm faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I said 8, but I will double check because that's what cross stitch is all about. It's about like constantly checking and counting. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I thought so. So 8, and then up 1. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying when that happens. And if you're new to this, you'll notice how I'm just going in one direction right now, not the band. Hopefully you're not too young to understand that reference. I'm going in one direction, upwards. Now I'm going to go back over the same stitches I did, completing the cross, completing the stitch, completing the X. And that's will end up back here at the middle stitch. And then I'll keep going the other way. So all I'm doing is going up through this hole, and I'm going to come down through that hole to complete the X. I'll do these few slow just in case you are new to this. So I'm going to come up through this hole. And again, please, if you are a beginner, never compare to anybody. Even if you're not a beginner, never compare someone's speed, their skill, how much they can stitch. Like, everyone has different schedules, different lifestyles. Some people have more obligations, some people have more freedom, some people are retired, and some people have been doing it for a very long time and they're very quick. Other people have not been doing it a long time and they're quick. Other people have stitched for years and are still a bit slower, and that's fine. There's no wrong way. There's no race. So just do it at your own pace. Don't get overwhelmed, but just never compare. Okay, so we're back to that main first stitch. So I'm going to complete here by going 1, 2, 3 over, and I'm going to go up just to finish this section. This light green may look a little intimidating at first, but once you kind of start just doing the main part, and then we'll go back down here, that's it for the whole color. The rest is just the one darker color that fills it in. So I'm going to go over 3. I'm going to keep talking while I do this with some tidbits. So again, just a reminder, I'm going over, up, and I'm going to just count them to myself. But a tip for any beginner as well would be the idea at the end, or the goal, of course, is to have your completed piece, but it's also to have all the stitches going in the same direction. This is not like some law where you're going to get arrested by the cross stitch police. If you don't do it, it just arguably looks better, and it is, how do I say, like, it's just what you do. It's just what you do when you do cross stitch. Again, that being said, you don't have to. No one's putting a gun to your head, but I will show you here. You can see, I'll use the monkey. You can see here all the stitches. Sorry, my hands are really dry. All of the top ones go this way, and see how it just gives it that nice unified like sheen to it. And if you have them all going differently, like some this way and some this way, again, you do you, but this is what you are supposed to try to achieve. So when you're starting like this, pick a direction. If you're doing your stitch like I am, where you're doing half and then you go back and finish half, just go one way all the way up, and then on the way back down or the way over, whatever you're completing, you don't have to like keep referencing the pattern and counting because you already know what you're going over. So I love that part. So here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the next section, I will show you a different way to do the cross stitch, which is just doing a full X for each stitch and not doing what I'm doing now, where it's like half and half. Like half one way and half the other way down. Also, if you're new, try to not have your thread too long. I have to have it sort of long for these because I just need to prep like however many subscriptions I have at the time. And again, a one-woman show, like it's easier for me to just send longer pieces of thread. You can always cut your thread if it's too long, because if it's too long, sometimes it gets tangled. This length now is really good, but at the start it was a little bit long. But as you obviously stitch, it gets shorter because you're using up the thread. So that's what's happened here. And now I really like this length, but don't cut it too short either, because you're constantly, you're constantly tying off. Oh my gosh, you're constantly tying off knots on the back, and it gets really like chunky. So try to not do them, like don't cut little pieces of thread, like cut a good, I think I had this one at like, the greens I think I have at 20 inches, the pinks are at 30 and 40 inches, so if you need to cut them in half, cut them in half. And there we go. So now at this point I've done this, this, and up. So I'm gonna go, because we're back at this starting point now, I'm gonna go up I'm going to go up an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and finish up this section here and show you the way that you can also stitch. Make sure this is right. Yes. So instead of going up one direction and then down the other way in the other direction, you can just literally do this and then go, instead of going up now, I'm going to go down and complete the X and then move on to the next X. So this is like absolutely an option. Whatever works for your brain best and makes you most comfortable is what you should do, because there is, in my books, there's no right way to do it. And I've seen a few beginner pieces where people post them and they're still beautiful. However, they're not going in through the holes. Like right now, they'd like just stab it somewhere. No, go there. You can see the light come through. Go through those holes, those large, like right there. Go through that one. And it really shouldn't be too much, I don't want to say effort, but you shouldn't have to like shove your needle through. Aida has perforated holes. Like my needle just glides in there. Embroidery, you're working on different materials. Yes, it might be more difficult or more pressing to push your needle through, especially if you're working on a thicker material like denim or even felt. Felt is like working with butter, but it's thicker. So, oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. Now, I don't like doing the stitches like this, so I'm going to stop after this one. But again, totally do whatever you like. I like going, now I'm pivoting over. I like going up and then down. And where you choose to start, like if you're like, hey, I don't want to start with this green, this light green, it's confusing me. As long as you mark off the middle stitch and then you kind of count up. Like if you wanted to start up here, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I'd go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'd go from the center mark that I made and count up 11 and go over 7. And then you can start the dark green there. That is also something that I used to do. I do it more this way now just because like I'm going to stitch it all eventually. So what does it matter what order I go in? But if it kind of makes you uncomfortable to start right in the middle of the pattern, you can totally start wherever you want. As long as you find the middle and just count up and outwards, you will still have a centered piece. So hopefully this is making sense. I'm going to do one more little section here, and then I'm going to do the rest of the light green off camera. So I finished this part, and we're going to go back down to the where I started, and we're going to skip one and start on this one right here. So I'm skipping one, which would be this square right, this square right here, and going in on this one. And I go up 2. And see how close I have to hold to the needle. Again, just be careful, but you need that structure. You can't be holding it out here because it'll be flip-flopping all over the place. Nothing beats holding a hoop and stitching in a hoop, or what they call a Q-snap frame or a snap frame, which I also use sometimes. That is the best, but this is how we have to do these little ones. Okay, I'm going to finish the rest of the light yellow. Sorry, it looks yellow to me right now. The light green, and I will be right back with that all finished up. Okay, I'll finish the light green. If you can hear purring or the camera jiggles around for the next minute or two, I apologize. My cat just jumped up on my lap and like I just can't shove her off. So this is the light green done. So whatever thread I have left, I can dispose of because we do not need it again in this pattern. And I'm going to go on to the most complicated part of this, in that there's the most of those stitches, which is the dark green. Oh my gosh, she wants in the picture. No, you stay right there. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. She wants to like have a nap, and she has how many beds, but right now she needs my lap, of course. So we're going to stop it, honey. We're going to start up here. I wish you guys could see this. Look at this. Like she's squished right in. Maybe I should wait a minute. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, it's going to happen again. She's still here. So I'm going to start on the dark green, and I think it'll be easiest if I just start up here, and I'm just focusing on the monstera leaf right now, and then I'll finish up with these ones because there's only a few little squares in each of those. So I'll start up here. You could start down here. It's just a little harder to like count down to make sure you're in the right spot, whereas it's a lot easier to start up at the top since we already have some stitches that are up there. Okay, she's eating my thread. You need to go. Go on. Off you get. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start on this last little light L. We're going to start right above it and count 1, 2, 3, 4 over and 4 down. And this is how you cross stitch. There are people that do section by section and not color by color. I don't want to say color by color girl because this one's smaller. I do color by color. In a larger piece, I absolutely go section by section, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't always finish the section I'm working on. I might keep that color and go work on it somewhere else, but then I go back and finish the section shortly after. So again, no right reason, no right way, no wrong way. And this is the longest thread that you will have in your kit here because there's the most of it. And I do these videos, of course, now I have little black furs in my stitch. What else is new? I do these videos to help, of course, beginners, but it is a great way for me to do this again because I've already stitched it up once, right? When I do the first one to photograph with the like promotional stuff, and then I do another one in this video, and it really helps me figure out how much of each thread I need to include in the kit, because wouldn't that suck, sending the wrong amount of thread to your subscribers? I assume most of you are stitching up the main one and you already do stitching, but I don't know that for sure. So like maybe someone out there, this is their first project and they don't have any thread. So I don't want to give way too little, you know, and I don't want to give way too much because then it makes the envelope bulkier. So it's finding that right amount that you guys need and sending that off. And now 4 down. Oops. I will be doing most of this green off camera because it is tedious and I'm getting old. Like I said, my back starts to hurt when I sit here and do this, but I'm okay for now. And now we're just going to use this light green that we've already done as a guide because we know that that's done. It is what it is. If you mess up and you realize, shoot, that one's over one more, like it's a leaf. Like a lot of these times you can just go with it and make it work. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes it matters a little bit more and you would have to unpick or redo things. But in an instance like this, in this chaos, if a couple colors are like in the wrong spot, nobody's gonna know. So don't overthink it too much. So now we've done that section. I have all these black hairs now. Still popping up. So we've done this here, and I'm going to go down and up here and kind of migrate. So I'm not going to talk through each step here. I will do it on camera, but basically just using again this light green as a gauge of where I'm stitching to, and it goes a little bit faster that way without having to start from scratch and be counting squares constantly. Now I can just kind of use the light green as a reference. And I just can't pick up the pattern each time I want to show you something. Like I'm glancing down at this the entire time. Actually, I'm going to go over here. Stay on that line. I love Monstera plants. It is my favorite plant. I became a very self-proclaimed, in a big way, plant lady in let's say 2015. And it was pretty intense for many years, and I'd have like, including little tiny like succulents, like little tiny plants. I lived at my parents' house, so I had a bedroom, right? It's not my full house. My mom loves plants too, so she had her own. But in my bedroom at my parents' house for years, I had upwards of like 60 plants. Again, a good portion of that were the little tiny ones. But it was nuts, and like I just loved them. I loved keeping them alive. I loved helping them grow. Of course, you'd have a few fallen comrades every so often. Like it happens, you overwater, you forget about it, whatever. Like we all do it. But I love plants. Then we got our own home. And of course my plants came with me. However, my old cat that sadly passed in November 2024, she was an angel. She really didn't get into anything and was never a big troublemaker. Whereas now we've adopted these two black cats a year and a half ago, and honestly, they are such good girls. Like, we couldn't have asked for better cats, and they were not together at the shelter. We just got them the same day. So considering they didn't live together before, they're like sisters. They're amazing. But the one that was just on my lap, Maple, she is still young, whereas Pumpkin is more chill and likes to nap all the time, which is more my jam. And they hang out with me all the time when I'm stitching, before bed. Like, oh, they're the best. But I didn't know how they were going to react when we brought them home. Like, are they going to jump on the counter? Are they going to go for my plants? Are they going to swing from the chandeliers? Like, you don't know what you're getting when you adopt a cat, right? Or any pet. So I toned down the plants and brought them all into my studio. And over the years, like, they just started, when they died, I just didn't replace the plants. And I started buying artificial plants, which is so not plant lady thing to do. But I thought, well, I've got these new cats, and instead of stressing about which ones are toxic, which ones aren't, I'll just get a couple really good fakes, like not like cheap looking ones. Like some of them are probably a little cheaper looking, but overall I try to get a better quality fake plant. So now I have fake plants that come out for my spring and summer decor, and then they go away, and I kind of like that. Like, the plants haven't like consumed every room. I go pretty hard for my seasonal decor, so I don't really like having green leafy things out with my Christmas stuff and with my Halloween stuff, so it saves me from like moving them around all the time. But all of that to say, I'm slowly moving around this pattern in this section. So again, I'm just glancing while I do this. And that the Monstera is my favorite plant. Still. And they're so hardy. Like, you can neglect it. Not that I do it intentionally, but when all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh. I had to leave some at my parents' house in my old room. Just because I had too many plants here. When we got the cats, I took some over there. And then I'll be like, oh wow, haven't watered you in like a hot minute. And it's kind of limp and not looking so great. And then you water it, and the next time I'm there, it's thriving and it has a new shoot. And I'm like, okay, you're my kind of plant. Very hardy. Perfect. So that's the tip of the leaf done. So I've done this section here. I'm going to migrate into this section, and then I'll probably do the rest of it off camera. So now I'm skipping over this little light. I don't know which one's easier for you to see. This little light part, this light green, and going right next to it. And I can see that I can stitch right up to the next section. So 3 and then 3 and 3. That's easy, just on different levels. So I just have to keep checking the pattern. And I'm so curious to see if this green lasts me. I feel like it won't, and I'll have to include a bit more in the letters. As soon as I do this, I will be prepping the thread and getting those ready to mail out. Right now it's the end of July, and this August one's going out, and I've already designed September's, which is wild, but I'm doing a bunch of stuff for fall and Halloween. And this, I love this. I love doing the club. I love making the patterns. I love doing these little stitches, and I love when I get new subscribers. Like, it just makes me so happy, of course, from a business standpoint, but also just like when someone discovers you and it's their first time stitching. Like, that makes me so happy. But as much as I love it, it is very time consuming. I knew that going in, but even just making this video, like, it's something that I have to carve out like 3 hours of time to record, take the breaks, like keep recording, and then edit, and then uploading it. And that's fine. It's just a lot. My life is a lot of scheduling right now, like trying to make sure I have things done by certain dates, of course, and especially with the club. And the club is still, I'd consider it still new. It's the 3rd month, going in the 4th month, but it's not like I've been doing this for a year. So you're still sort of getting into the swing of things. But in, I don't know, I think it was about 5 days ago, I was designing the September pattern. And it's always just so crazy. Like, it's July and I'm designing September, but you have to work a few months ahead. Okay, so that's those 3 sections done. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. easier to count on this one in this instance because here they kind of get a little mushed together, and just so you don't lose track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a little cube at the top. One, two, three. I'd like to go stitch outside today, but it is quite warm. And I am not a summer girly, so I've already done a lot today and I've sweat enough. I think I might stay inside. I find that after a certain time though, like once it's shaded, like our backyard gets shade after like around this time, like I think it's 4 o'clock right now, 4:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, it's got a good chunk of shade. It's not so bad, but the later you go out, the better for the temperature, but the worse for the light. So can't cross stitch in the dark, that's for sure. But it is very nice out today. Hopefully it's nice where you are when you're watching this. Okay, and then on this, I missed the little thing at the top, but I'll do it in a sec. So 1, 2, 3 up, and then I'll add those as well. And then I will do the rest off camera. One plant that I never got was the, I don't know the technical term for it, but the Monstera leaf that's like, has the white blotches, like the white spots to it. Or the very, 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 very light green that looks really white, but might not technically be white. But they are so beautiful. And I never got one of those. They're a little pricier. And again, we already had the 2 new cats, and I thought, because Monsteras are sadly toxic to pets. I don't think like lethal toxic, but if you have a cat or a dog that likes to chew plants, Monstera is not for you. I just keep mine up high and in my studio, and I close my studio door for most of the, like for the night and most of the day if I'm not here, just so there's no one getting into trouble. Okay, perfect. So there's that whole section done. I'd say that's like a quarter of the dark green in the leaf, so might need to include more thread in the envelope, but we will see, and I'll be back in a moment with the leaf completed. I have just 1 stitch left right here, and the main leaf is done. So don't be alarmed if it's slightly up. Like the leaf isn't centered in this pattern. This kind of pushes up and this comes down. So you didn't do anything wrong. It's slightly off centered, but that is correct. So since I finished up at the top here, up here, I'm going to do this dark green first, and then I'll count these ones out, and then it's just the pink. So from here, I'm going to go up here, seems to be the easiest. You can use either pattern. I'll just stick with this one. So this little part that jets up right there, you're going to go skip 2, and that's the row that we're stitching on. So we're going to skip 2, that's the row, and go over 1 and go 4. Hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes I'm wondering if I just talk gibber. So I counted 2 up, 1, 2, and this is the row. So including this one, and then we go over, and I think I said 4. Yep. And that's how you start, or that's how I start the floral components. This is the part that takes the least amount of time. I'm going to go one way for all of it and then go back. I absolutely needed more green thread, so I will make sure that I include much more than I originally thought I would. So at the beginning of this video, excuse me, when you saw the little bundles of thread, you're going to have probably 2 dark green ones. Excuse me. You'll probably have 2 dark green bundles because it's the same color. You just need a lot more of the dark green than any other color. And we don't need much of the pink because there's not a heck of a lot of pink. Again, I'm just following this pattern, and then adding the pink will be easier because you're working off the dark green, just like we worked off the light green for the main leaf. Almost there, and then 2 and 1 single dark green down there. If you've been doing all the months, or if you did the previous month, which was the monkey, the dark brown was very similar in that the amount that I included and then practiced with was not the correct amount. I definitely ran out. So same with this green. I think it's probably about the same amount of stitching for each little DIY. The first month might have been a little less, but the monkey and this leaf are a bit more dense. So there's obviously more stitches. We'll see what I can do next month. Maybe I'll try and make it a bit sparse like the first one so they all go together. Like I said, I've designed the main pattern, but I haven't designed the little one, but I will be doing that in the next few days. I think I have an idea of what it'll be, but I can't tell you that right now. Have to wait and see. Plus, again, that's September, so we've got some time. Let's focus on August 1st. All right. So I'm going to tie off this green and then count for the bottom part, and then we just add the pink. All set. I only have this little bit left, which is perfect. So I think this amount of thread that I have now, which is essentially double what I thought, which is crazy. I used the other half because you know how embroidery thread comes in 6 strands and I give you guys bundles of 3, and that's why they're in that weird loopy shape. It's just how my hands separate the two. So I used 1 full strand and I got about like there. So I knew I still had to finish all of that plus these little bits of green. So I just used the other bit and I think I'll have just enough. So from here, I'm going to start from down here to count. So this light green at the very bottom here, we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to stitch on 6. And that way it's like right in line. So there's 5 empty spaces between the light green and the dark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we start right here. And I go over 4. 1, 2, 3. And then up 1, 4, and up. And now I skip 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And now go up, skip it over, go up, skip it over, almost there. 1, 2, 3. I think I might just speed this part up now because I think you get the gist of it. I have just enough thread, so whew, love when that happens. You don't have to play what we call thread chicken. It's almost thread chicken. See how far you can get before switching your thread. Yay, so both greens are done, and now it's just a little highlights of pink, and we're all set. So I'll see here, which color pink should we do? Let's do the really bright pink. So that one, and it really doesn't matter which pink is which. Like if you swapped the 2 colors, like it doesn't matter. The bright pink is this top section, like with the little, this one with the little leaf sort of football shaped things. I'll just add this one color to the bottom section here, and then I will do the rest off camera just to finish up. I try to keep these videos under an hour, but it is very hard. Okay, so the football shaped ones are here. I'm going to personally start off this section here and know that I can follow it easier because I've got that dark green. I'll just do this top little section and then I'll do the rest off camera. Originally I just had the leaf and thought, well, the other two sort of had things that filled the circle frame and the leaf fit, but it was just kind of sitting in the middle. So I thought, what can I add? So I just added some fictional plant. I don't know what the heck these pink flowers would be called, but they're just some tropical floral plant or flowers. Because I really wanted to tie in the pink from the flamingos, and then the paper frames are all different shades of pink. So I didn't want there to be no pink in the stitch. So we made up a little plant. For all I know, it is a real plant. I just don't know which one. So okay. And then one. Pink and green are such nice colors together too. I don't think they're, no, they're not complementary colors, but there was a big phase, or fad, I should say, fad in the 90s, the 1990s, where everything, including the house I lived in, was a very bright green and a very bright pink. And then I think it was stemming from the 80s, where it was like pastel pink and pastel green were huge. So they kind of just made it more 90s by making it bolder. But depending on the shades, oh, I hate when I do that. Depending on the shades you're using can change the whole thing. Make it feel more 80s, 90s, or in this case, tropical. Okay. So hopefully you get the gist of adding the floral components to the stems. From here, I personally would probably just keep going with this color and finish this section. So going down into this gap here and going 1, 2, because there's enough thread, I don't think you'd run out. But normally I don't encourage like stretching your thread in behind. First of all, it will show at the front if there's no stitching in between. And secondly, when it comes to like me supplying the thread, you might run out because you've wasted like a huge chunk by going from one section to the other. In this case, it's not so bad. Like we didn't go too far. So you would have used the same amount of thread to tie it off and then cut off the end and then tie a new knot on the thread in the back. So like I always just think logistically like that. Like, am I actually going to save thread by starting like cutting it off, tying it off and starting fresh? Or am I going to use about the same? So yeah, I would personally, now to finish this up, finish this color, finish that color up here, and then just do the last few stitches in the other pink. But I will come back in a few minutes with it all stitched and conclude this session. We are all finished. All the pink is in, all the green. The back is chaotic as always, and that is totally fine. It shows all our hard work that went into our project. I never try to keep a tidy back. I don't try to make it nonsense, but it ends up being pretty nonsense. Sometimes you get little like knots that you can't get out, and I'm like, it's okay, it's small enough, it's back there. So I'll just give this a bit of a press with my iron and put it in my paper frame. I think it'll go in fine without, but when you've been holding it, it kind of gets a little warbly. And stick it on my fridge with the others. Hopefully this video helped, and if this is your first project, I wish you all the best of luck. Please comment below if you have any questions or any ideas or suggestions, things in this video or these videos that I'm not talking about that you'd like me to. But yeah, any questions, feel free to message me or comment below. And I thank you all for subscribing, being here, watching, and hopefully I see you back next month with our next piece, which will be our 4th in the series, and I'm very excited to see it come together like this with a 4th one here. Oh my goodness, I am very pumped. So I'll hopefully see you guys back then, and until then, happy stitching. Thanks guys.